Hey there, this is Vladimir the Badimir. I just got back from Japan. It was my first time being in the country since I went there in 2009 for a summer study abroad program. Um, and I got to really indulge and pick up a lot of cool toys while I was there. And so I wanted to make this as sort of a show and tell video. Before I left, I was watching a whole bunch of other videos that other channels had done. Um, and one video in particular that I was inspired by was done by Ultra Radical Toy Works. Um, he had gone to Japan and did like a live Twitch stream of all the stuff that he had kind of picked up there back when he did his trip. And so I thought this would be a nice way both to share with people who are into this stuff, um, but also to kind of cement it in my own mind of like whether this stuff is called and sort of what order I got it in. Um, so with that, I sort of started out my trip in Tokyo. I stayed at an Airbnb in an area of Tokyo called Meguro. And in Meguro, there's, I think it said it was like the longest like covered shopping street in Japan. Um, and so it's like, you know, I don't know, 2 blocks worth of shops all running down. And so my first pickups were from a shop there, which was called Hobby Off. And so there's a chain of shops in Japan, and their sort of flagship store is called Book Off. And what it is a bookstore that sells both new books but also used books. And then they have a bunch of kind of sub-specialty stores. So the Hobby Off is specifically for toys. Um, and so what I was in search of was mostly stuff related to this Japanese superhero called Kamen Rider. Um, and, you know, I didn't want to blow all my money on the first day that I was shopping. So what I was doing is up and towards the front of the store, they had a bunch of bins with, you know, plastic bags full of figures that were no longer in their package. And in Japan, what's considered used is if you have something and like ding the box or open the box. And whereas if you uh, take the figure out and play with it, it's at that point it's considered junk, um, or they call it junk and put it in these junk boxes. So means it's much cheaper. So that's what I was going for the first day. And so what I found was this, which is a Kamen Rider from, I think this is from Kamen Rider Coda, is the name of the series. And then this particular character is named Kamen Rider Tsukuyomi, which is actually the name of a moon goddess in Japanese mythology. And so, unlike most Kamen Riders, this is actually a woman. Um, and, you know, my part of what I wanted was I just wanted kind of a wide variety of shapes and colors. I kind of wanted to try to find like one of each color if I could. So this was sort of the white colored Kamen Rider that I found. In the same Hobby Off, I also found this guy, who's sort of a, you know, asymmetrical blue. He's got sort of, on this side is sort of a light blue, and then on this side is sort of a dark blue with like gold accents and stuff. And so this guy is called Kamen Rider Rampage Vulcan. And so this is from the Kamen Rider show called Kamen Rider 01. And so both of these are from a, I guess, a subline of action figures that's called, so these are both Sodo Kamen Rider. And so I also, on that sort of first day, picked up a different Kamen Rider. And so I think this is Kamen Rider Kabuto, because he has like a Kabuto's Beatles crest on his head. And so this is what's called a Shodo. So Shodo is sort of the Americanized spelling. And so these guys are sort of like, fully painted action figures, fully assembled, and they come in a single box. So that is Shodo. Shodo figures like these actually come sort of disassembled and with sticker sheets. So you gotta assemble them. Sometimes like the arms will be off and like the head will be off, and then you gotta put all these little stickers on them together. So those are sort of the differences with those two different types of Kamen Rider toys. Is Shodo are the ones with Sodo. Sodo is the one with stickers. Shodo are the ones that are sort of more fully painted. That first day I just went to the hobby off because it was within walking distance of the Airbnb. I was pretty jet lagged. But day after that I got right to it and took the train up to sort of the northern part of Tokyo. And there's a area called Akihabara, which originally was the electronics manufacturing area, and so you can still see remnants of that there. There are sort of little tiny stalls that are essentially Radio Shack, and you can go and buy electronic parts. You can go and buy camera recorders and video stuff and computers. So like if you want to build your PC, you would go to Akihabara, or if you want to get video games, that's also a good place to go. The other big thing that it's known for is like anime stuff, anime and manga stuff, and Japanese superhero stuff, which I'm into. So if you want something very particular, it's a good place to go. Unlike digging through the bins at Hobby Off, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. What I got that day was I picked up these two guys at a store called Bic Camera, which is like the equivalent to I'd say Best Buy here in the US. It's a big electronics store, but they also got action figures. And so these are what are called sofubi, which is sort of a portmanteau and phoneticization of soft vinyl. And so these are mass-produced ones of those. So these were like, I don't know, $12 a piece. And these two guys are from the recent Amazon Prime series called Kamen Rider Black Sun, which I had watched before leaving and was like super into. And so I was on the hunt for these guys. This guy is the titular Kamen Rider Black Sun, and this is his nemesis adopted brother, Shadow Moon. So I got those guys in Akihabara. I was also on the hunt for an articulated figure of this guy. One of the other videos that I'd watched before leaving Japan was an excellent review by the action figure photographer and reviewer DAmazing. So if you really want to see something that like makes this figure sing, I would look him up. Does beautiful photography, does excellent reviews. So that convinced me that like I wanted to hunt this thing down. And so this guy is what's called SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Black Sun. And so he's got double knee joints, got feet joints, his toes can bend. He's a little fragile, so I'm not gonna really manhandle him here, but this is just to, give you a sense of, you can really, if you're a photographer or you like to draw like me, this is great for reference, or if you just want a cool display piece. And so that was this is what I was on the hunt for in Akihabara specifically. And then, I had picked up so I got those pieces which I was specifically on the hunt for. I'm noticing, this is something that I didn't show before. This is an an Ultraman monster called Baltan, and I just like him because he looks like a lobster or cicada dude. So I got this guy at the same store, Bic Camera, because I got the Kamen Rider Black Sofubi. And so again, these are, these are kids' toys. They're nicely painted and sculpted, but limited articulation, and you can like chuck them or bring them into the bath or stuff. So they're they're fun shapes and colors, which is what I was on the hunt for. So I think I actually got the ones that I'm going to show you next at a book off again in digging around in the bins. So this is Kamen Rider Comet, I think. So you can see like he has a little comet on his head. His belt buckle, which is what he uses to transform into superhero mode, is like a Astrolab or like a Star Lab thing. I also got, not in the junk bins, I had to actually get it off a rack in a box, but I was on the hunt for this guy who's actually a bad guy from Kamen Rider. And so this is the mole Imogen from Kamen Rider Den-O. And so doesn't really look like a mole, but like I guess he has sort of digging claws, so that's where that comes from. But crazy design, really cool. This character design is by an artist who I really like. I think it's Yasushi Nirasawa, who's unfortunately passed away, but he did a bunch of monsters and suit work for Kamen Rider and Power Rangers. So his stuff is always amazing. So this is something that I picked up at a book off, but had to pay closer to $14 as opposed to Kamen Rider Comet here, which I paid like $8 for. And then another guy I was on the hunt for was this guy, who is great. This is Kamen Rider Kiva, who's like bat vampire themed. So he's got like the Dracula collar. He's got a little bat belt buckle. His gimmick is that like to do his super finishing move, normally his right boot here is sort of wrapped up in silver, but then to do his finishing move, like these wings open up and then he does a diving kick and kicks someone until they explode. But really cool design. I really like the asymmetry in this one, and also just a cool color combo. And then not a Japanese figure actually, but just a cool weird little dude. I think this is by the French toy maker Lanard, and so I'm not actually sure the name of this guy, but cool little space guy. Is in scale with Kamen Rider. Like this bad guy dude would kind of make a good super villain for them. And so that was like, day 2 of pickups. Might have actually been my 3rd day in Japan. Another place that I knew I wanted to visit, which I had watched videos by the YouTube channel Toy Pizza. They had done a bunch of Japan travel videos about toy shopping, being a collectibles channel. So I knew I wanted to go to that place. Nakano Broadway it's another covered shopping street, but they also have a huge Mandarake store that has like 6 floors worth of shops, and each little shop specializes in one particular thing, be it Godzilla, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, American stuff like Batman and Superman and Star Wars. So like whatever hyper specific thing you're into, they got it there. They also got like record stores and used bookstores. So on the first day that I went there, because I actually went there twice, I knew that I wanted to pick up, while I was in Japan, sort of my biggest splurge was going to be picking up a soft vinyl toy. So similar material to this, but that's made by an independent artist. And so there was a shop there in Nakano Broadway that was just characters done by independent artists who, may have been inspired by something like Ultraman or Kamen Rider, but then did their own iteration or version of it. And so my big piece that I got is this guy, who is called Rhino Rexer. And let me see if I have I think the artists wrote their name on here. I think this is Kenth Works on Instagram, but I would just Google Rhino Rexer if you want to find out more about this dude. You can see if I put him next to Kamen Rider Kabuto, this could be the inspiration for this, but then, there's all sorts of other stuff going on here. He's sort of monster-like. He's got like tendons that are showing. You can do this really cool thing, which is a reference to kind of old vinyl Kamen Rider toys from like the 70s, where you can pull off his mask. Try not to wreck his paint. Yeah. And, there's the dude's face underneath. And so he's like he's in mid-transformation, but, this is to show that, like, he's not just a monster, he's like a dude who can transform into a bug monster dude. So, very cool piece. Probably going to be a centerpiece of one of my displays here. Compared to something like, a figure arts, much more limited articulation, but a fair amount, considering, that he's a soft vinyl piece. He can, kind of move at the waist. Now I'm going to force it because it's like super cold here. His helmet comes off. You can rotate his head. You can rotate his arm up. You can make his hand go so he's like rah. So even though very limited articulation, extremely expressive with sort of the detail in the sculpt, the very nice paint job, and sort of the imposing size. So, what else did I end up getting that day? I think after buying that final piece, I was like, this was like $200, so I'm like, maybe I should take it a little easy for the rest of the day. Oh, I think I know. So, actually, before I went upstairs into the shop where I got the Rhino Rexer, out in front of one of the shops were more junk bins. So, that was like what I was super into, is just sort of rifling through them, seeing what treasures I could find. It kind of reminds me of being a kid and, going to yard sales and seeing all these cool things that you have no idea what they are, or a vague, conception of what they are. And then, working within your allowance. But thankfully I'm an adult now, so my allowance is much bigger. So I'm actually going to open these up so it shows up a little bit better on video. I can here. So this is another kind of contemporary from 60s or 70s that was invented by the same comic artist as Kamen Rider, the guy's name is Shotaro Ishinomori. And so this is a little character named Robot Detective K. And so I don't know if it will show up on the video, but he has a little K on his belt buckle. And this is just a little figurine. I think this guy was like $3 or something ridiculous. So, I like this character particularly, so, I feel it was a treasure to me. Another guy who's one of my favorite characters is this is Jinzo Ningen Kikaider, or Android Kikaider. And so he's a he's a robot dude who is supposed to have a circuit in him that gives him human-like conscious, but like a human-like sense of morality and conscience. And it's called the, depending on how you translate it, it's either called the Jiminy circuit, like Jiminy Cricket, or the Gemini circuit. So, he has this bisected design where he's one blue on the right side, red on the left side. And the idea is that he's like a failed experiment. And so, has all of these like machine parts showing on his left side to show that like, he's like a prototype, that he's not like a super robot. He's sort of is a robot who has to struggle with all the difficulties of having human emotion. So that's probably more than you wanted to know, but I'm super into this character. Let's see. Might be getting a little bit near the end. I guess also from the junk bins, I found this lady. This is another character from Kamen Rider. The proportions here are actually closer to how she would have been drawn in the manga by Shotaro Ishinomori versus, from the live action show. So she was the sidekick of this guy, Kamen Rider Stronger. I didn't get this on my trip, but just to, show you how they look together. I think this guy was themed after like either a stag beetle or a dragonfly, whereas Tackle here is themed kind of obviously after a ladybug. So I found her in the junk bins with Robot Detective and Kick Hider. Again, all super cheap. Let's see, what else? So I think that was my first day at Nakano Broadway. I kind of, I got these little cheap guys. So probably all of this is like $10 or so together. And then I went upstairs and got this guy, which was like $200. And I'm like, that's getting near my limit. I think the other thing that I went and got that day was some gashapon, which are from, that's the onomatopoeia that for toy capsule machines. So you go in and put a $5 coin in and crank the crank, and out comes a capsule with a random toy, from the series that the machine is for. So that you're going to get a Kamen Rider, but you don't know, are you going to get, maybe you'll get Kamen Rider Stronger, or maybe you'll get Kamen Rider Kiva. And so the machine that I was after was the one that I got this out of. So this is actually two kind of capsules worth of toy combined. The wings were a separate capsule. I actually don't have all the feathers attached here. But this is done by actually an independent artist who goes by the handle Yoshi. And I think the series of characters are called Tsumugi Bako. So Tsumugibako. And so this is an angelic bad guy from the series. And then this is sort of the mascot character. And so I had gotten this online, but to kind of give you a sense of, this is the good guy and this is the bad guy. So that was it. I did the gashapon, the expensive Sotheby, and then the junk bins with the figurines. And so that was that day in Nakano Broadway. And so then, while I was in Nakano Broadway, I saw some other cool stuff, but I felt I had spent enough for the day, but I still wanted to go back. And so on the second day that I went back, some little mini Sofubi were two things that I got. This is a monster from Ultraman, who's like a toxic sludge fish monster. This guy I know the name of. This is Baltan. And so this one kind of bridges the aesthetic between, mass market stuff and the independent stuff. This is designed in the manner of the monster toys that were coming out in like the 70s. And so rather than doing kind of show accurate colors like this guy, they would cast them in sort of these wild, base color plastics and then do these beautiful kind of airbrush sprays over them with like these different metallic colors. And so I knew I wanted a Baltan, and I got this guy because he was the first one I saw, but this is really my favorite Baltan that I have. I like his little cute proportions, really beautiful colors on this. Kind of reminds me of an actual, beetle with like a metallic carapace. So really happy to have gotten this guy. And then also on the second day, I got this as a gift for a friend. I'm not going to say which friend, so hopefully I don't give it away. But this is a Godzilla that's cast in red translucent plastic and then painted on top to show, I think this is called Burning Godzilla. And so it's like when he's charging up his atomic breath, ready to, blast somebody. In some of the movies, he starts glowing like this. So it's really cool if you like hold it up to the light. My other pickups here. After Tokyo, I went to Kyoto, which is sort of known for being the historical capital of Japan. Lots of amazing temples, cool museums. And so while I was in Kyoto, it's not a big place for collectible stores like Tokyo is, but of course I went and hunt for one anyways, and so I found a book off and started digging through the junk bins, and so there I managed to find the original Kamen Rider as a Shoto figure, fully painted. You can do his, see if I can pose him up correctly. I think he does like his arm across, like splays his legs out. And so, to transform from his like normal, mild-mannered form, his belt shows up, which is called the Hurricane Belt, and it's got like a little fan in there. And then he does like these crazy like whirling of his arms around, and then the fan spins, and then he transforms into Kamen Rider. And so this is sort of the originating design, is, a guy who kind of looks like a grasshopper, but, somewhat abstracted. He has like a black motorcycle suit, like a wrestling belt, this kind of mod red scarf, silver gloves and boots. And then the helmet is really what shows you that he's a insect. And then I think in the same book off, I also found this guy. So this is the 1987 version of Shadow Moon. So, here's the modern update from 2022. Here's the one from 1987. He didn't come with a sword. This is from a Toy Pizza action figure. But he has like a big scimitar or rapier that he uses in the show that's called the Satan Saber. That's red like this, so I gave him that because he's actually missing a couple pieces. On his ankles, he should have 2 of these spurs that are sort of like bug legs, but those fell off, and he only has 1 set of hands, unlike some of the other Shoto figures that I pick up where you can swap in different hands for like different poses, whether they're punching or gripping something or you know, like the original Kamen Rider here, doing like the transform pose, which is called henshin. So those were pickups at the book off. And then I think it was the second day that I was in Kyoto, that I went to a souvenir shop and found something else that I was on the hunt for, which is a Kamen Rider mask. And so in Japan, they sell these at like festivals during the summer. And so this is size for a child, not someone with a huge face like me. But, you know, I can still wear it. Probably doesn't look that good. And actually, there's a sticker on the inside here. Let's see if I can show the camera it. That shows, like, if your kid is running around and playing, have them wear the mask on the side of their head like this, so that they can breathe and see properly. Or very often people will actually wear it, you know, backwards on the back of their head. And so they have both, you know, superhero stuff. They have Sailor Moon. They also have like traditional Japanese masks, like fox masks and raccoon dog masks and demon masks that you can get at like festivals. Then that was it for Kyoto, I think. Let me check here. Yeah, that was it for Kyoto. And so from Kyoto, I went to a Japanese inn and hot spring, which was awesome. It was a nice break from having access to all the toy stuff, so I didn't pick up anything there. But super good food, great to soak in a hot bath. Then after the hot spring, which was the Kinosaki Onsen, took the train into Kobe. And so in Kobe, my friends were all tired. So I went out in the morning kind of looking for a coffee shop, also just seeing what was around. And again, you know, found not only a book off, but some really nice collectible stores in the Kobe train station area. There's like a big mall. And so one of the places I went was a like hobby supply store called Volks, Volks. And so as well as having modeling supplies, they also had these displays which were rental cases where collectors could just rent out a little shelf in a display case. And I think they had their stuff there on consignment. And so you could kind of look through people's collections and pick up stuff. And so another Kamen Rider that I was on the hunt for is this guy, Kamen Rider Geats, who I think is the most recent Kamen Rider series. And so he's like fox themed. And so you can see this is a Soto figure. And so when you buy these, you got to make sure to get both pieces. So let's see here if I can figure out which is in which. Yeah, okay. Here it shows on the box. So this is just his torso and legs. And then this is his helmet, arms, scarf, shins, and all his other stuff. So you got to put them together. You got to pull the stickers off the sticker sheets and apply it. And you know, as a extra bonus, they come with each box comes with a single piece of gum. And so this is I think it's soda flavored. It's ramune flavored. But this comes from a thing of you know, there are these toys in Japan called candy toys, and the idea is that you get, not only do you get a toy, you get candy as well. I don't know anybody who would be buying this for this. This is not, you know, this is nothing. This is just so you can call it a candy toy. You know, why you would get that is for this. You know, here's the assembled Kamen Rider Geats with all his stickers applied. So kind of a cool mashup of, you know, here's the original Kamen Rider, and then combined with like the design motif of the fox mask. And I think that's it for toy pickups. The other thing that I got while I was in Kobe that's pretty cool is this. Get this out of, get these maps out of here. So this is Sculptors number 7 2022 Summer Edition. And so this is I guess a high-end magazine / book for people who do sculptures and model. I guess there's this thing in Japan called garage kits, where it's like an unpainted, unassembled sculpture, but they do sort of a small run of them. But sometimes it's just, some of these in here I imagine are just purely single sculptures that are sort of pop art based. And so, here's one that shows you someone who does it in Super Sculpey. But the particular reason I got this volume was, here's that guy, Yoshi, who did this. So this shows a bunch of his work, and he sculpts digitally, like I do. So I just wanted something, with the work. And then in the back here, they actually get into, here's some concept design stuff of how to, do the character illustration that will be made into a sculpture. And then here is actually something being digitally sculpted. So they go from, the silhouette to more refined drawing to sculpting it digitally to 3D printing it and assembling it. So even though I can't read all the kanji here, I know enough about 3D printing and sculpting that this is an awesome reference. And, to have it, I like having books. I like having physical things to reference and not just another YouTube video or something. So was excited to get this. And I think that's it. That's sort of the end of my show and tell. I enjoy doing this. I wanted to do this so that it kind of sticks in my brain, and I can refer back to it later. Hopefully you enjoy watching this too. So thanks.